They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Dare, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Dead Air, a horror podcast. My name is Chris Costello, and for all intents and purposes, I am the horror fanatic. What that means is I am not an expert. I do not claim to be an expert because I might get creamed on the message boards. But I am a big fan. I'm a huge fan of the genre. And I'm joined by my polar opposite, who is our co-host, Miguel. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Miguel Nashansano. I have a well-documented fear of horror films, I guess. But I do love movies, and I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm happy to watch the horror movies that our guests make us watch. This was a good movie our guest made us choose today. Anyway, we also have a third host today. It's not the usual Aaron, because Aaron is on vacation.
She's had enough of the two of us.
I know. So she's taking a break. So one of our producers is stepping out of the booth and getting behind the mic. And Antoinette, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Antoinette, usually on Grimcast, today on Dead Air. Stepping in for Aaron. So I'm going to try and channel my inner super pretty person and lower the pitch of my voice.
And you have to be the organized one now because Aaron is the one who keeps us all in check sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, but also I want to say that Miguel, you're probably more brave than me now. I don't watch a lot. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of horror movies in general. But this one was an experience.
How the dynamics have changed.
Yeah, so that's us. We are your hosts, and we've got another special episode for you of Dead Air. Not only because we have Antoinette as our guest host, but we've got someone pretty cool who came on and brought an awesome movie.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool episode. So, she's an actress. You probably know her from Billy and Emma or from Dead Kids, but more importantly, she's been in a horror film. I love it when we've got actresses or actors who have been in actual horror films on the show. So she's also in Eerie. So welcome to the podcast, Miss Gabby Padilla.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Coming on.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I always love it when we've got someone who actually does have horror cred. I feel like we're not just fans talking and just now we have a little more cred when we've got someone who's actually been in the industry in the specific genre. So that's super cool. But thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, I was so excited. It was actually Jasmine who told me about you guys wanting me to come on. And I listened to your episode and I was so excited to be part of this one because, again, I love horror films and I'm just so excited to talk about this film.
Yeah, this is pretty cool because I am really surprised at your choice, by the way. We'll get to that in a bit. I'm surprised. It's a very surprising choice. I absolutely love this movie. I'm very surprised that this is something that you would choose. Before that, what we usually ask of our guests is, Miguel, why don't you introduce the segment? It was fun.
Oh, is this the part where we recap the movie?
Now, see, this is what I do. I love jumping on Miguel because I love putting him on the spot. This is the most fun every time.
Bakit parang may trust issues?
I hate you. What were you gonna do?
Well, Antoinette knows because you know why? Antoinette listens to the show. So yeah, Antoinette, what part do you think it is? Yeah.
Is this the horror origin story?
Yes,
portion?
ma'am. Yes, you got it.
Yes.
I knew that.
Sorry, Gabby, we're so good.
This will be sorted out in editing.
Somehow.
Anyway,
yes, we'd love to hear what your horror origin story is. So what that means is how did you if you're a fan of horror or not, how did you first experience the genre? Was it a movie? Was it a book? Sometimes a lot of people say that, it was a tradition to watch horror films with their families. So we'd love to hear what yours is.
Okay, well, as far as I can remember, I've always just really enjoyed watching horror films. I have a very vivid memory of being alone at like 8, siguro, 9 years old, and watching The Sixth Sense by myself in the dark. And I don't know,
That's
like,
a really
natatakot
scary
ako.
movie for an 8-year-old.
Natatakot ako. I mean, at night, I have a hard time sleeping. I buy those Philippine ghost story books, and before I know it, I get creeped out myself. But I like the feeling. I like that rush you get when you feel like it could happen to you because it can. And for this film specifically, core memory siya kasi before nung high school kami, during lunch break, malapit lang kasi yung school ko sa bahay namin. So we would come over to my house and then my friend would bring these like, alam mo yung mga DVDs, the 100 films in one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're all like these Asian films.
Yeah.
And my best friend, she loved Asian horror films. She was actually the one who introduced this genre to me. And I remember one afternoon we watched this film and yun, tumatak siya. And I've rewatched it and every time I have friends who ask me for my recommendation, this is my go-to.
Interesting.
That is so cool. I'm so like when I say that this is a surprising choice for you, it's really because it seems like it's such a classic for someone your age. So you must have this must have been something that you saw when you were really young. Because I think this movie came out around 2005. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
I was in high school when I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we were in
I was in college.
we were in our first jobs, Chris.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why. That's precisely why I'm surprised. A lot of people kind of choose films that are kind of like their age level, like you saw it when you're around, you're in your 20s or early 20s, you know. But watching like your selection is something that you saw when you were a teen. A very early teen, actually. So that was really surprising for me. But so we'd love to hear the story about that. So the next part is Miguel.
The
with
recap.
The next part. No, not yet. First, you have to ask her what movie she chose.
Oh, sure, right. Gabby, tell
I
us about the
purposely
movie.
left it out for you to ask.
I know.
Miguel.
She was being very. I'm so sorry. I noticed like Gabby's not mentioning the title. Galing, ah. And then I go straight into the recap. All right, Gabby, tell us about this movie you picked out.
So I picked The Tale of Two Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 and it's directed by oh my god, I forgot his name.
Oh wait, hold on. I got it.
I googled it. Kim Jee-won.
Yes.
That's
Kim
his
Jee-won.
name. He wrote it and he directed it. And it's the only film of his I've seen, although Chris has mentioned that he's had like a few really good ones too. But
The horror then.
that's the one I chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, we should do the recap.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
We love to hear
on.
the recap.
So usually
Here now.
it's me. Usually it's me who does the recap as proof of me watching the movie that's assigned to us. But since somebody else seems to be more afraid of this movie now, can we get Antoinette to recap it this time?
He's passing it. Oh, Antoinette, he's passed it.
On the spot.
I mean,
wow.
I do the
Okay.
recap, but I mean, Antoinette's a guest, so let's recap it. Please, guest host Antoinette, recap it for us.
This is gonna make me seriously rethink every time you guys ask me to like so,
Do
you know.
things for you.
Then I can
But I
take a
can
sip
do
of my
it.
coffee.
I can show up. So
We're done.
A Tale of Two Sisters
Mm.
usually starts off with two sisters. Hey.
Yeah.
And it's them coming. It starts off with them. This one sister and the father picking up the one sister from a mental institution, where she seemed to have been getting treatment for something we don't know. And then they come into the house. They're greeted by a sort of evil stepmother lady figure. Things get really weird, really fast. Lots of tense moments. Everything unfolds. And should I say how it ends now? Or
Sure.
we'll get into that.
Maybe not. Maybe let's save the spoiler for later because it's a really it's a big only because it's a really big spoiler. And it would be
Things
fun
get
to lead
really
up.
weird. It gets really Asian horror, like really fast.
Yeah.
And
It
like it's like involved like hauntings, like diba parang
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
hauntings and they're like dreams.
Yeah.
Dead-
It's a
dead
nice
birds.
combination of like the paranormal and the psychological thriller. Parang you don't know what it is exactly until it's all happening.
Yeah. And then the big reveal is it's both those things, actually.
Yeah. Surprise!
Because at some point you're like, oh, so it's just a psychological thing, and then like, oh, no, there actually is. But again, we'll get to the spoilers later.
Sure.
So thank you, Anthony. That was fantastic. A recap. Great job. Even though it was forced on you.
Eat that, Meg.
Para siyang oral recitation sa class. Where you get points for every like piece of information that you're able to.
I'm just glad it was off my back for this episode.
So the origin of that actually is because Miguel is he's easy to scare. And he's actually one time he actually refused to watch one of the movies.
But I admitted it naman eh.
Yeah. But so now that us saying like a recap and forcing it on you is our way of making sure that you actually watch the movie.
I know. I hate you guys. But to be fair, that movie I tapped out of from the onset I said, guys, I tried to watch it, but I couldn't. So it was what was it again?
The Conjuring.
I was going to say The Converging.
Well, it's pretty scary, The Conjuring.
Yeah, it is.
I don't blame you.
Yep. So far, that's the only one. That's when I realized na, oh shit, I don't think I can do supernatural, like haunted house possession sort of thing.
How did you get through this movie though?
This movie, I watched it at 2 p.m. And then I was it was 2 p.m. I had the lights on, the windows were open. And then I checked the running time like 2 hours. It's tamang sakto for my 4 p.m. I'll end before my 4 p.m. meeting. And then I was so slow to watch it. I'd pause it so often na hindi ko pa parang meron pang 30 minutes 4 p.m. na like shit. Like parang, so I went into my meeting and then after the meeting I finished the last 30 minutes. Na diniretso ko na. So so as usual, I watch it with very low volume and then keep replaying certain scenes because I wasn't sure what happened. And
so very low volume.
How I got through it though.
Yes, please, Antoinette.
Because I'm a huge scaredy cat, actually like huger than Miguel. So it's really weird that I have a ghost story podcast. But I got through this initially before the food arrived by yelling at the screen a lot. Like, bakit ganyan? Bakit ganyan? Bakit walang ilaw? Blah, blah, blah. And then when the food came in, it was stress eating while like watching.
I opened the bag of Cheetos. Like talagang, this movie needs something. Salt.
It needs like chicken joy.
Yeah. Anyway.
It needs calories somehow.
So is the general rule for your podcast, like Chris, you've seen it before. Do you rewatch it or?
Yes. The general rule is right before we have a guest come on to discuss the movie, we all rewatch it or watch it for the first time. So it's actually it's very fun for me finding out all the co-hosts watching all these scary films for the first time and the reactions.
Because sometimes we live chat, like if we're watching for the first time, we chat on our group like parang tangina to sorry.
That's fun.
Why like that?
Why like this?
So that's fun. I really enjoy that when people like start live messaging.
Or we send audio files. It's sad.
I actually rewatched it too this week.
Oh,
just
nice.
So I got a refresher.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I still remember where all the jump scares are. So at certain points, nakaganyan ako or nakatingin ako a little away from my screen.
Yeah. Wait, so Gabby,
so good.
If I may ask, like, what about this movie made a deep impression on you that made you still think about it until this day?
I don't know. I think it was the acting. Mm-hmm. Like the women in this film are phenomenal. Grabe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The stepmother, grabe.
She steals the show from me, actually.
Diba? And I was reading about the lead. I think this was her first major role.
Wow.
She's such a good actress. Yeah. And there's something about the film that I remember distinctly. Now, when I look back on it, I really remember the color. Ang ganda na pagkakulay.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just a combination of those films, but a combination of those things. But it's the acting, talaga. Yeah.
Parang galing no, when we watch a Korean film, whatever genre it is, parang expected na high quality yung production value, yung cinematography. Man, they're just so good at it. They're like light years ahead of many other. Yeah.
Diba?
Light years. I mean, like I got into Korean film, I think, to be honest, through this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then like after this, I discovered a lot of other stuff. I discovered their rom-coms, the early rom-coms like My Sassy Girl, stuff like that. So I got into Asian horror, and then I got into Korean films, I think because of Tale of Two Sisters. And then wow, man, their cinema machinery is incredible. Like they can literally do anything. Do anything. It's incredible. And you can really tell like how they love the craft, like all aspects of the craft. And you can see it in this movie. Made in 2003.
The cinematography is beautiful. Yeah.
Cinematography, like there's even like the styling, like there's so many like floral patterns. They're like beautiful. Like, and the acting's incredible. The direction, of course, is impeccable.
It feels new. Like it feels like a movie made in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Like when I Googled it and said it 2003, nagulat ako na parang, shit, this has been made a while back. Almost 20 years ago, but it feels like it was made in the past 4 years.
Yeah. Gabby, what I wanted to ask also was, since we all kind of mentioned like what we do when we're scared. You said that you are a fan of horror in general, but like, do you have any ways of coping when you find a movie like really scary?
I think now, especially now that I'm older, I try to imagine it as a film set. So like when something happens, I kind of think about how paano siya na-achieve, paano siya na-shoot. Because that way, just basically I deconstruct it, and that way I see it as just actors acting. Yeah, that's how I rationalize it in my head.
Love it. Because actually, that's also that was going to be kind of a follow-up question, because we do get a lot of people from the industry, and then we always ask them like, does you being in the industry, does that actually take away from your enjoyment for the film? Like knowing how a scary movie is made, like how blood is just like corn syrup and and food coloring. Or like yeah, exactly. So does that take away from your enjoyment? Can you separate being an audience member from someone who's actually been in the process?
Actually, I would say the opposite is true. Like it's deepened my appreciation for like the craft. So when I watch something before, when I like for this film, when I was watching it in high school, the cinematography didn't really register. The dolly shots, like when I watch it again, when the mom was pacing back and forth against that like patterned wall.
Yep.
That I didn't even remember that scene, but when I was watching it this week, I was like, ang ganda ng mga moments na yan. And again, it's because you've done it or because you do it for a living. It's either I get really jealous too. I'm just like, ang saya ng ganito. I can just imagine ang sarap siguro i-shoot nito. So no, I don't think na disillusion ako because I do it for a living. I think mas nag-deepen yung appreciation ko for it.
That's awesome.
Speaking sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Miguel.
I was gonna ask lang, like, since you do this for a living, do you find acting in a horror film different from, say, acting in a comedy or drama, or is it all acting? I mean, like, you're a professional and you can tackle whatever role is given.
Because in my experience in the horror film that I worked on, which was Eerie, I didn't really get to experience the paranormal aspect of it because my character was she wasn't involved in that at all. So it was just still very heavy acting for me.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe baka iba rin. Maybe it's different. It comes with the genre. I don't know. But maybe I'll have to work on another horror film and then I'll get back to you.
be the possessed person or something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it should be different, a different experience. Yeah.
I can only imagine. Chris, you had a question.
I know it was you kind of covered it. But yeah, so now we can ask my favorite question which is like please do you really this is not just a question, but it's also a hope, which is like, do you see yourself in more horror films? And maybe in more horror films that you actually are parang a bigger contributor to the scares or to the the main
definitely plot. That's a dream of mine. Like those roles na either the stepmom or the lead played. That was oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Definitely.
Who wrote this movie? The director.
The director. Wow.
Yeah. So this director is actually earlier I told you that he did a fantastic. It's a horror thriller called I Saw the Devil, which is I think it's on my top 20 horror films all time.
Wow.
It's incredible.
So you like it better than this one? Would you say?
Yes, I think I do.
Wow. Okay.
But the craft, I think that's that's a difficult question because I think craft-wise, this film is a lot more classically made, like in its storytelling and its cinematography. The other one is more kind of an action film, so I find it more fun. Okay. So, and when I make a list of like horror films, I love like the ones where I just really like, I think they're, kick-ass or like really fun or, so and I Saw the Devil is extremely fun if you're a horror fan. This one is like a really, it's a slow burn, it's a psychological story, which is, it's an absolute classic for me. Like this is like, it came out around the time, Ring came out. It's one of the first, it ushered in the whole Asian horror craze.
I think Bachelor used Shutter around that
Shutter,
decade.
exactly.
Oh my God. Just the mere mention of the title.
I've never actually seen that through.
Oh, Antoinette!
What?
I hope somebody picks
out.
I hope somebody picks it. And then it's worse because it's a photographer horror story pa. There's like cameras and the reveal.
Yeah, it was one of my choices.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I've seen that. So I was gonna say like that whole early 2000s or parang it really ushered in that whole genre of Asian horror and parang nag-iba yung flavor like you know what I mean, like remember prior to that we had great stuff like Stephen King stuff like The Shining or even Pet Sematary, which is my horror origin story, but the Asian thing, what makes it so unique and weirdly scarier for you guys, everybody?
For me, if I may start, for me, I really find what's so special about Asian horror, especially the early Asian horror, is that a lot of it is so they revel in its Asianness. Alam mo yan, like they really bring in the culture in the story and in the horror. Like a lot of the early like American or European horror films like could have been made anywhere, but films like The Ring or like this one, like it has to be made in Korea or in Japan. Like this one was actually remade as a film in the US called The Uninvited, which is not good at all. And it lost so much of its flavor because it lost the cultural element, the beauty of the Korean surroundings, the nature and everything, and so I don't know, that's for me. I just found that at the time, Asian horror really kicked off it really was a craze because it changed the landscape of horror in general. I think people really took to changing the way they told stories after The Ring came out or after Shutter or this one, definitely. So that's me. How about you guys? What do you think?
Well, maybe I'll go next.
Sure.
But
sure.
So I don't know, why Asian horror really, really, really creeps me out is that it's almost like it can also happen to you. It's like we've all like in this one specifically, we've all been in, we've all probably lived in that dark house where it's like maybe the middle of the day or almost night or like twilight, and there are all these dark corners, and it's eerily quiet. And, there are undersides of the sink. There are closets that maybe something lives in, and it's almost like it can hit so close to home that it's possible. And that's why it really, really creeps me out.
Yeah, I agree. I can't put a finger on why there's a unique like quality of eeriness with Asian films. Maybe because again, it's the familiarity of it being Asian. But at the same time, not having that language barrier, I mean, for me personally also helps because it's not something that you can just leave on the background and not pay attention to. Like you really have to be there, nakababad ka. So you're really just 100% in it.
Yes, I absolutely.
So you're sensitive to sound. You're sensitive to everything. So I think that's also why.
It's a very good point. And parang there's also Yeah, sorry, Antoinette, go ahead.
No, it's super true because earlier when I was like watching it and things were getting scary, I was covering my eyes, but I would leave a little
But you
space
need
for
to read the subtitles.
I was like, I need to know what's happening.
Stress. And parang, I don't know, like I'm sure there are a lot of Western horror now also, it's also about family and old houses. But parang iba yung family dynamic ng Asian talaga. Like, you know, there's a whole lot of other layers involved. Like there's a bit of familial piety involved. Like it adds a layer. You're supposed to be a dutiful son or daughter. And as a parent, parang ang daming, like especially in this movie, parang that whole dynamic plays out. Parang I guess the very idea of a stepmom is alien to Asian cultures. But in this movie, there's a stepmom and she becomes the object of, she's actually, she's super pivotal in the whole, even the twist and, you know, how it begins.
Yeah, actually.
Even the scenes where they come together for meals, that's I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, like when Americans gather together for Thanksgiving, I mean, I get it. But when Asians come together for dinner, like parang, I've experienced this sort of dinner.
Where it's like super awkward and somebody throws a spoon and shit.
And there's like a goal under the kitchen counter. Yeah, of course.
I actually love your answer about the subtitles. Because I totally agree with that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but sometimes I always message you guys saying that, you know, hey, turn on the subtitles for this one. Like, because I especially for horror movies, I always turn on subtitles because I feel like it's easy to miss out on nuances in the script in horror films because you know, like, you know, with a louder soundtrack or like jump scares or something, you might miss out on a lot of things. So being forced to read everything, it really does add an extra like level of appreciation for the film. So yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think you really, especially for something like this movie, which is actually could be a little confusing. You really need to focus on it.
I admit to being slightly confused, and I had to Wikipedia. I mean, I understood the gist of it, and then I had to go out, like after watching it, I had to go on Wikipedia just to get the finer points and details.
Sure. Hindi niya pala talaga pinanood. Wikipedia niya yung synopsis.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Quiz me. Yep. Ask me something that I couldn't have read on Wikipedia.
What's the stepmother's name?
The actor is Yoo Jun. Oh my god!
Wow! Galing!
Because that info is on Wikipedia. No, her character name is Yoonju. I was close.
Tita.
Yes. Tita, yeah. And then
that was here when I was watching it, and I was like, I didn't understand what was happening, but I was yelling at the screen like, "Tita, bakit ka ganyan? What's wrong, Tita?"
And then like I totally missed out on the idea na part of the anger stemmed from the fact na like I knew naman na like she diba, sorry, a plot point is that she was the nurse of their deceased mom. Pero parang if I didn't read the Wikipedia entry afterwards, I wouldn't have realized na it started before the mom died. So parang my layer of an affair. I didn't realize that was lost. That went over my head. And then what else pa ba? And then like the two people who arrived, the younger guy.
Kaninong brother siya?
Yeah, exactly.
The dad?
I'm not so sure.
Actually, unclear.
I think it's
Kasi from the way she was talking, it's like she grew up with him.
Yeah. You mean the wife, who we think is the wife.
The
aunt. I don't know.
The aunt.
And then were they also the same couple in the flashback? Were they also the same couple?
Yes.
With just different hair. I get it.
So it couldn't have been the stepmom's brother. Kasi it would be weird because the mom was still alive when they were over.
It's the dad's brother.
And they were over
I think it's the
house.
dad's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is it not
the dad?
Is it not the dad's sister? Not brother? I'm pointing.
Kasi when she was reminiscing, when she was doing that whole monologue about that crazy
uncle.
person.
Yeah,
it seemed like she knew him way more than the guy.
Actually.
And I was wondering why it was the aunt or whoever she is who sort of saw the ghost. You know what I mean? At the family dinner. Siya yung nakita eh. So, kanino ba nagpapakita tong multong to? But anyway, wait, we haven't talked about that, how it actually converged into an actual haunting.
Horror.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, just to push you with the plot, and I guess to spoil it, guys, this is a movie that's like 17 years old. I mean, I hope people have seen it. But, like parang you, so like maybe 4/5 into the movie, it's resolved. Oh, it's all in her mind. Like she, like the girl who came, that's the sister who came home from the mental hospital was both projecting the stepmom and her dead sister.
Yes.
Like holy fuck. Sorry, that's mind blowing. And then later on, talagang may multo, diba? Like,
yes.
Tama ba pagkaintindi ko? Like, there really
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so horrible.
Okay, so
yeah.
Just for those who are listening and probably haven't seen this movie, so it starts off with a girl in a mental institution, and then she goes home, goes home with her sister, and they meet their stepmother, and a lot of weird things happen. And then we find out the big reveal is we see that there's conflict between her sister and her stepmother. We see some strange apparitions. We see some dead birds. All these weird things start happening around the house. And then later on, one of the big reveals is this girl is actually really suffering from some sort of dissociative disorder. Yeah. And the stepmother and her sister don't exist. Or her version of the stepmother doesn't exist. But her actual sister is already dead. Yeah. And then we go on to reveal later on that the stepmother does exist. But is kind of a different version of herself, right? Yeah. And then the backstory here is that the stepmother used to.
It gets complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated. You really do have to. Yeah. So the stepmother used to be the nurse of the mother, who eventually dies, and then she gets into a conflict with the sister. She has an adulterous affair with the father, which causes the mother to kill herself.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then she gets
I feel like
into
she
a
was
fight.
also like mentally ill. No?
Yes. The mother's also mentally ill.
Yes. So there's some genetic thing to it.
Yes. Yes. And then the sister and the stepmother kind of get into it, and it ends with the sister also dying.
Super freak accident, by the way.
Super freak accident.
Imagine.
Yeah, imagine the horror upon horror.
That was terrible.
So the dead sister, when she was alive, parang she thought her closet was haunted. So she opens her closet and her mom is there who hung herself.
Oh my God.
And then while she was trying to rescue her mom, the whole cabinet fell on her.
Yes. So she dies with her dead mother on top of her.
Yeah, and she dies a slow death. And she dies. And then, so I know it sounds incredulous when we talk about it like this, but the movie does it so well. Para ang galing nung pagka-stage. Yeah, ang galing nung pagka-stage nung movie at how that whole. And then the stepmom, who at that time was only a nurse, who the dad was having an affair with, actually happens upon the scene. And then instead of saving the sister, or instead of helping out, she kind of walks into the hallway, shell shocked, gets into a fight with the surviving sister. Are they together? Yeah. And then they have this exchange of words, and the nurse / stepmom says, "You'll regret this forever."
You'll regret this. Yeah.
And that sort of triggers everything from the very beginning, the whole thing. Yeah. So it's actually a revenge story also.
Yes, because for like this, our main character, she's accused of seeing things, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, so she's just seeing things. So these things aren't real. She gets sent back to the mental institution. And then we find out that the ghosts actually do exist.
Yeah.
Because they get the revenge on the stepmom. So the hanging mother is a ghost and the sister is a ghost.
Yeah.
So this is what we meant by it's a psychological horror that becomes a supernatural horror.
Yeah.
To our listeners who we've spoiled by now, it's way much better than how we tried to explain
so much
it.
better than how we explained it. But that's this movie. That gives you a little context into this movie, which is really incredibly made.
What's really cool is that you kind of go through the whole movie and you don't really know who's in trouble. Like at one point, you think it's the elder sister, the one who comes home. But then at some points you think it's the stepmother. Because parang something's wrong. She seems very unwell. She'll like be super snappy and then suddenly be super nice.
Yeah.
Even the dad,
And
like,
diba,
is this dad?
she was being given meds where he didn't know that it was actually the sister yet. So parang they were trying to establish that she was also kind of mentally unstable.
And then even the dad would have like little scenes wherein, holy shit, is this dad good or bad? Like, ang galing lang ng pagka-paint ng uncertainty for everybody. Like, who the hell is... like, you know what I mean? Parang, are we... Who's the victim here? Who are they all
especially
just...
the last part.
Yeah.
Where she was dragging that big sack of bloody... whatever.
The sack.
It's just like, what is happening?
Yeah. Parang, in other words, they're all living in a certain kind of hell. Parang, what is that?
With the amount of supernatural stuff that happens in here, Miguel, I am really surprised that you aren't
freaked out.
More freaked out.
As stressed.
I don't know. I think this whole podcast experience has been a bit of an exercise.
Has it deadened your
not, I wouldn't say deadened, but I'm super invested in the genre. But I can still admit that it's not. I won't voluntarily watch a horror film by myself. But parang there's enough distance for me to like sit and say this movie, which is horrifying, can also be seen on many levels, like, as a like an artifact of culture, artifact of the times. You know, parang nag-film theory na ako, parang yan. So I enjoy it. Yeah.
Would you give The Conjuring another chance?
No. Because mental health is important. I live alone.
If there's one thing you learn from this film, is that mental health is important.
Exactly.
It's important. That's true.
Yeah.
So you will not watch The Conjuring again.
Yeah.
But
this episode is actually a good sequel to Jasmine's episode.
Yes. I was gonna say that movie was a great movie about mental health talaga.
Babadook.
Yeah.
Babadook.
Oh yeah.
Sobrang ganda nun. I still think about that movie.
I haven't
horror
seen that
movie.
yet.
Oh shit!
It's
you
so
should watch
good.
it.
It's so good.
Buti lang we didn't say anything, but please watch it.
I 100% recommend that movie for you.
It's frightening,
that's actually,
but heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's actually, this will lead into my next question for you, Gabby. It seems like the movies that you've talked about so far, horror related, are supernatural ones. Are these the kind of movies that you like? Or kind of horror movies that you like in the genre?
I think they were growing up, especially because when I watched them, I would watch them with friends. So ang saya. I mean, yung feeling na you want to look away, but you can't because you don't want to miss a second of it. But I think as I got older, mas na-appreciate ko yung mga psychological thrillers.
Thrillers, okay.
So now it's a lot of like the slow burn. An example of that, which I also considered to choose, but because of the director, I opted not to. It was Rosemary's Baby.
I knew you were gonna say Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby, kasi alam mo yung as an audience member, walang release the entire film. So ikaw yung nababaliw kasi parang why is everyone acting like it's normal? What is happening? And it's one of those films, like I know when a film is really good and effective is when after the film I feel like I have to throw up because I feel like I have to release the tension physically. So nag-evolve na yung horror films na gusto ko as I've gotten older.
That's really cool because you selected another classic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I literally just sent to our group, I said, she knows her shit.
I haven't even seen Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, we actually also
great.
So good.
It's fantastic. We
Too
actually
bad he's
also,
a creep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember, we had this conversation with Philbert the other time. This is another thing he said too, and I totally agree with him. Is it's hard to. Well, he said he for him it's he can just cut it off. I mean, he cannot separate the artist from his work. So when he specifically talked about Rosemary's Baby being something he'll never watch again because of everything that Polanski has done.
Yeah.
Because he is a creep. He's an absolute creep. But the movie is incredible.
It's so good.
okay.
Mia
Yeah.
Farrow in that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Since you brought it up about separating an artist from his work, is that something you can do with Polanski, especially?
Yeah, I really try to, and it pains me because like I was a big fan of Woody Allen. I love his
Yeah.
films. I still love it. Like looking back, I really feel guilty about it, but I won't promote it. I won't talk about it. You know what I mean? It's just really
I
sad
get it.
because it's hard. But I do understand that by supporting their work, even if you want to talk about how you can separate, it's that work and it's that industry that empowered and enabled them to be able to abuse these people. So
Yeah.
you really can't. You can't. It's not.
Yeah. Parang the
Yeah.
very act of watching or subscribe. You know what I mean? Like, parang
Yeah.
just enhances. It's so hard. Like, it's like you. I was a big Woody Allen film. And then, a fan. And then when things came out, parang suddenly, may yung subtext ng mga movies niya. Parang nagkaroon na rin ng meaning.
Oh,
Parang, holy shit, he's been into young women all our time. Parang,
Yeah.
you know, like parang before our very eyes.
He's been showing us who he is
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
since.
A lot
And
of
that-
them.
Yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
boldness to that and there's an arrogance to that na parang that's belied by,
unforgivable.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, and like sorry, slight just
Yes.
bouncing off what you said about how men have been showing us how they are. Like the thing with Marilyn Manson,
Mm.
the whole issue with him.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Evan Rachel Wood was posting all these interviews that he's done, and he was explicitly saying how
Yes.
he has abused her.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of just thought that it was
Like,
Sure.
work
it's a
or
show.
it's just his brand. But actually, he was very clear about how he was very manipulative and everything. So, yun lang. Off
Yeah.
topic na tayo, sorry.
No, it's fine. Men are trash.
Men are trash.
Yes.
Man. I'll be the first one to say it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's incredibly embarrassing to be a guy. Like, it's unnerving. Anyway,
Yeah.
sila Woody Allen. Wala na. Can't watch a Woody Allen. That's
Wala
fine.
na.
I
They
mean,
have
what
a
do you-
documentary coming up about him
Yeah.
and
Mia Farrow.
his
Sorry.
ex-wife.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot who said it. I think one of the guests, or maybe I read it somewhere. Nah, it's fine. You don't have to grieve over the loss of these creators because there's so many more good directors or good creatives or good, parang
Yeah.
hindi naman tayo mawawalan ng something to behold. So, and then who are better people, hopefully, and,
Oh, yeah,
worth
exactly.
promoting. Yeah.
What do you
Yes,
think
so-
about this, Antoinette?
With Rosemary's Baby, I'm really happy that my relationship with the story did not start from the film because I actually
Oh.
picked up the book first. And it
Okay.
ended up that I started like going through the book. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I told BV, hey, you have to read the book. I don't care if I'm not done yet. We're reading it together. And so it's so great. And then we were like, oh, right, there's a movie. We should watch it. So it kind of just became like a secondary thing to the book story for us.
Sure.
Mm.
But I definitely would I see how a lot of people have a really like special experience with that movie because it is
Yeah.
amazing. But and now with all of this happening, like I'm okay with not being able to or not wanting to watch the movie anymore. You know, it is sad. I get it.
So sorry, back to Two Sisters. I was reading the
Yes.
trivia on IMDb, our
Go.
favorite source. Parang like even if the ghosts were at a certain point a figment of one's imagination, parang may argument pala na even in from her mind. I mean, totoo pala. Like obviously they're true in the end, but the earlier apparitions were also true. And because you can tell, and even if hindi explicitly sinabi kung sino yung ghost, you can tell by the big like stuff around them. Like the first time now we see a ghost like at the foot of her bed.
Oh
Yes.
my God, that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you first see the head and the crawl, and then it suddenly pops up. Her neck is bent. It's
Parang bent neck lady.
Yeah.
So that's
Exactly.
next lady.
So that's the mom.
Best episode.
That's the mom who hung herself in the
That's the
Yeah.
mom
Claws.
pala.
yeah.
That's the mom.
Parang ganyan. And then later on, the girl under the ghost
Sink.
under is the sister, I think.
The sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So can you, if we, knowing this, if we rewatched it, could we separate when it was a ghost and when it was her mind? Do you think?
Parang you don't need to eh. Parang it's irrelevant yata eh.
Mm-hmm.
Parang ha.
But I
Go
think
ahead.
if you really tried, I think you can.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's clear that even she had her moments. Like, that was her in the bed, right?
Right.
Yes.
And yeah. And then the sink was the ano pala?
The sister.
The-
I
wife
think
of
what
the
you
brother.
can on a second viewing, what you can figure out was how the first stepmom and the sister were apparitions, or I mean were
Mhm.
figments of the main character's mind.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
think that's yun yung mas worthy
Mm-hmm.
exercise, I guess, or maybe yun yung mas madaling mahimay or to figure out.
Mm-mm.
Because like like the very first scene, like when she puts in her diary in her desk and there's already that's the exact same thing there. Parang those are clues na about the cognitive problem she's having. Stuff like that.
Sure.
But my
But,
theory
yeah.
is that when the actual ghost-looking ghosts come on in, they're real. They're already real. It's just that she's
Yeah.
experiencing them as the different personalities that she's
Mm-mm.
exhibiting.
Mm.
So
Yes.
when she sees the first ghost under the sink and she's exhibiting the personality of the stepmom, the ghost is real. It's just that in her mind she's the stepmom.
The stepmom.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
later
Gotcha.
on, she sees
That makes sense.
at the bed.
Mhm.
She's her. The ghost is real, but she's her. And then it's the sister. She thinks she's the
That makes
sister. Parang ganon. I don't know. That's my theory.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun exercise, Miguel, if you want to watch the movie again.
Yeah, you mean I have to watch it? Like, that's cool.
How about Gabby? How about any other parts of the genre, like say slashers? Do you like something like that? Because there can be artful slashers.
Are there?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre ba? Slasher siya. Does that
Yes.
fall under
Yes,
that?
totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love that. And then after a while, it
You
was just
used to?
too gory for me.
Yeah.
The gore.
Yeah.
So that's something that you don't
Yeah.
like, the gore. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of gore either.
Mm-mm. I mean, if that's the whole point of it, then maybe not. Like, I'm not so into the whole what's that? Is Final Destination.
Torture porn.
Not
Oh,
so
okay.
crazy about that
No.
because I know how it's going to
I don't like them.
end. So parang
Right.
okay,
Yeah, everyone always dies.
yeah.
And if there's
No,
a final
no
girl,
redemption.
If there's
It's
a
hard to
final girl,
define-
she stumbles
Yeah.
out with drenched in blood and all that.
Yeah.
It's so hard to define what makes it tick for me. Like I don't know what kind of horror I like. I agree na I'm not super into the gore.
Mhm.
Like I remember watching Hostel and that just like freaked me out.
Ugh.
Yeah,
And
that was
then
so
I-
gory.
And then I do know na I can't take haunted possessions or supernatural, like stuff that can happen to you. But somewhere in between, when it's psychological or even meta or even like Cabin in the Woods, fun. Parang there's this like little Goldilocks zone that I can survive.
Sure.
Right. Have you guys seen Coming Soon? The Thai
that?
one?
No, I have not seen that.
Oh, it's one of
no,
my.
what's it
It was
about?
one of my choices too. Do I spoil it?
Let me Google
wait,
it.
is
One
it 2000?
second.
No,
Let me
okay,
Google.
don't want to spoil. You watch it na lang. It's really good too. It's Thai
Oh,
naman.
pucha, poster pala nakakatakot na. Oh my God. It's
Wait,
Thai. Oh my God. Look at this.
It's so good.
Oh, this guy co-wrote Shutter.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm
not.
watching this.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yes, I'm definitely watching this.
maybe
It's
with-
so
awesome.
funny because I was in Europe last year for a film, and
Yes.
my co-actors, they had no experience at all with Asian films, horror
Oh
films.
no.
So I was telling them, okay, I'm gonna download. Ito na naman ako. I'm revealing
You're-
my.
You're gonna
You're-
find
I'm gonna recommend.
You're gonna find a way. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna find a way to
I'm
get these.
I'm gonna find a way
films
to
them.
show
This
you guys
movie.
these
Yeah.
Asian films. And my 3 recos were this film, Shutter, and then Coming Soon. So I really
Damn.
think that you
Is
guys
Coming
should
Soon
watch
also like is there like a movie theme to it? Like I mean, is it?
it. Mm-mm.
I don't want to.
It's a horror film that happens on a movie set.
Oh my
So
God.
it gets really scary. So like if my coping mechanism is deconstructing it, I can't because it's literally what's happening in the film.
I think I'll watch this when we're all vaccinated and we can safely gather in groups.
Hey, it's on Netflix.
Shut up.
Oh.
But
Oh. So you saw it on
I'm checking
Netflix,
this out.
Gabby?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's where.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So you have on the show you've talked about Rosemary's Baby, Sixth Sense, Shutter, A Tale of Two Sisters, Coming Soon, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Are there any new horror films that you've seen in like anything after 2010?
Hereditary was something I enjoyed.
Oh.
Yes.
Midsommar, Hereditary.
Oh, thank you.
I'm thinking of Ending Things was something I watched recently. And although I wasn't so crazy about it, there were some
Me too.
A24 qualities to it that I really liked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Toni Collette losing her shit at the dinner table is just
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah, if there's a movie with Toni Collette losing her shit,
It's
that's
usually
my kind of
good.
jam. That's my jam.
There's another one I saw during quarantine, Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh yes,
Oh.
Yorgos.
And
see
I
this.
really liked it. It had the same effect on me as Rosemary's Baby, yung needing to throw up.
Mm.
That and The
Oh, yeah.
Lobster.
That's
so
also
yun yung
him.
parang,
That's also him, diba? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him.
Lobster?
So yun yung hinahanap ko ngayon, that throw up feeling.
Hindi ko mahanap yung Coming Soon on Netflix, on Asian Netflix, but maybe in European Netflix it was there. But
I googled it,
Maybe.
and
But-
then it
but-
showed
Gabby
up.
has a
baka
VPN.
regional thing. Yeah. No, anyway.
I have.
But you know what's on Netflix? Shutter.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I think that's the remake.
Baka that's
though. I
the
think
American version.
That's the American
Damn it.
version.
Then no.
I don't
with
get it.
Josh Jackson.
Why do white people feel like they have to make a version of it? Why can't they
don't
just read the
understand.
subtitles, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then mess it
Exactly.
up. They can't even do a good job.
Even
There-
the ring wasn't that. Their American nerding wasn't.
Yun na yung
good.
pinaka-acceptable. Yung kay...
Yeah,
What's her
still
face?
not
Gore
great.
Verbinski, Naomi
Mm-mm.
Watts.
Guys, I think this is
Naomi
the
Watts.
original Shutter.
Is it
I think
nice.
so. 2004.
4?
Yeah.
That's the original.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Actually-
another good one is The Eye. Have you seen The Eye?
Mm.
Yes.
Oh.
Is it-
Very
is that
good.
the one where-
Very
So good.
Yeah.
Is that Thai too?
That's
or-
Thai, I think.
Yeah.
That's
So
Thai.
good.
That should be Thai. Yeah.
Mhm.
Super good. Man, you know all this niche, like really, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
legit.
This
She,
is
like
We
awesome.
were
she's
all in
legit,
that
Miguel.
DVD. In that 100.
She still has it at home right now. Have you gone through the 100 films?
No. Baka I'm exaggerating. I don't think it's 100. Maybe it's like 20.
20.
Like, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
These were the days
I
before.
discovered some.
These were the days before legal streaming. Kaya, everybody
Yeah.
had to do
Yeah.
It was,
Yes, yes.
just to.
I discovered quite a few horror films that way.
I know. Actually,
Yeah, diba?
taking
Yeah, visiting certain places like Metro Walk and
MCS.
Oh.
MCS and,
Ruins.
yeah, quite a few horror films I discovered.
Tapos
that
hindi
way.
siya hard case. Yung parang mahabang
Like
just
paper
plastic.
lang.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times. Less complicated times. You get to
Yeah.
see the 20 horror movies. Scream a bit.
The movie
Good
you
The
times.
would
quality
Every
was
year
probably not
before.
so good either, but like we didn't really mind at that
Oh,
point.
even CRT pa yung TV ko. Like, parang, well, you don't flat screen na yata at that time. But still, yeah.
Yeah.
So these movies are actually the worst. These are the worst ones for me. So like you guys were saying earlier, like you can't do gore and Miguel doesn't like
Mhm.
Mhm.
paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
I almost can't handle Asian horror. So
Because of how scary it is.
because of how scary it is and how you kind of maybe wake up from a night's sleep at like 2 or 3 in the morning and then you just see that scene earlier in the evening. You wake up, you see the foot of your bed, and then suddenly your mind goes,
my God.
what if the head just comes on
Yeah.
the side and then it's happening.
Also, what is
So-
with Asian films and hair? Like I was watching it
grabe,
kanina.
no? Yeah,
Why can't
grabe.
you put a hairpin here?
Yeah.
All of them
So
had
it's
hair
like,
on their
girl.
faces.
Even the first scene pa lang eh. At the
First scene pa lang, it's like-
mental sa mental institution, parang, holy shit, are we going Ringo on this? I don't know.
No. But I guess it just doesn't look as scary if all of you guys are blonde. So
Yeah.
And
Unless
then,
it's
you know-
Midsommar.
And then, ang galing ng
Yeah.
Asian ghost. Ang galing ng Asian ghost because parang, like Western ghosts, like they're just like badly, like human figures, like half rotting. Pero yung Asian ghost talagang, it's visceral, It doesn't look. It's physical.
So eerie.
Yeah, and they occupy a real space and they move so differently and wrong. But it's so good.
And they sneak up on you in really creative ways. It's like it's behind the ref, and then when you close it, it's like hey, or you're brushing your teeth, and then pops up behind the mirror because it's the freakiest
grab
place
your
to
arm.
be.
And they can survive during daytime. Like they come out in daytime and they still scare you during the like, galing. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I'm sleeping with the lights on tonight. Thank you, Gabby.
How about, are you the only person in your family that likes horror films? How do you get into them? Was it really just through your friends?
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't get to watch horror films with my family because my mom hates it. Like, she had to watch Eerie in broad daylight just so she could watch my movie.
Yeah.
My sister, too, is not so crazy about it because she gets so stressed. So, yeah, I think it was just my friends talaga. Yeah.
Parang in my family that no one's into horror.
I would believe it. You know?
It's in our blood.
It's something genetic. Yeah.
I don't really like watching horror with my mom because she's like the type of person, like bless her, but she's like the type of person who goes, huh? Ano nangyari? Papasok na siya? Bakit may ganyan?
May commentary?
Anong sinabi
May
niya?
running commentary.
Yeah. I'm just like, ma. So, you know.
Okay, so one of the things we like to ask our podcast is that we can transition from fictional horror to real life horror.
Oh my god!
So and that is the horror that is 2020. Gabby,
now continuing in 2021.
Now continuing in 2021. So Gabby, how's your quarantine life been? How has it changed? How are you coping?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm back in Iloilo for the most part of it.
Lovely.
I was lucky to have a bit of work every now and then. I do realize that it could be much worse, but it has been a nightmare, I think, for everyone on the different ways. But I'm really hopeful that 2021 will be a bit, just like a tiny bit better.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
I hope so. I agree, and I hope so too. Yeah.
I feel like 2020 really tapped me out. Like, nakota talaga. Kotang
for like the next 5 years, no?
You're good enough for the next 5 years.
Like, if nothing stressful happens to the universe in like the next 5 years, okay lang. Like, it'll last us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a boarding year. Like, I mean, literally, like, I hope nothing happens. I hope nothing crazy happens. I'll
Where
take
everything
it.
is
You mean like
pastel.
2022?
Like the elections?
Pandemic.
The election year?
Elections.
That's gonna be fun.
Oh my gosh.
Shut up.
You just start crying.
It gets worse and worse, guys. It never ends.
Maybe by that time, we can move to Mars na.
Yeah.
Sana.
Yeah.
I'd be the first one on.
I don't even want to. I don't know. Like, I'm not so crazy about the thought of us spreading out. I just feel like we need to just end humanity.
I say that all the time, seriously. Don't I say that all the time, Miguel? I'm just like, fucking asteroid, just take us. Just like, I'm ready.
But
I am
I'm
ready
so sorry.
for that fucking asteroid.
To destroy everything.
Tsaka parang kawawa man Mars. We're gonna go there. Kawawa naman Mars.
Oo nga, parang let's not put them through that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
This conversation took a turn.
I know. That was a really depressing podcast.
On that note, A Tale of Two Sisters about
It's
two
a
sisters.
wonderful life-affirming movie about
Asian
familial
life.
love and redemption. And
Things under sinks, you know.
Wonderful father and daughter film.
Yes.
For
There is
all ages.
no incest in this movie whatsoever.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Seriously.
No
What was
implied
it? What-
incest.
Parang meron, diba?
Meron, dude. Like,
Meron.
Yeah, so you were being sarcastic. Yes.
yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Teka lang.
Yeah,
Oh,
like-
meron.
She kind of seduces the dad as the stepmom.
Yeah.
No, she sleeps in his bed.
Sleeps
With
in
the
his bed.
whole open
Yeah.
book.
That was her.
Because she's in the stepmom persona.
And then that's why the dad moves.
to sleep somewhere else.
Wow.
Wow.
So now that you're seeing it through the eyes of an older person, Gabby, and not anymore a high schooler. Yes, there was incest in that.
I do have a question.
There's a
the
Wikipedia
girl
ko lang
under the
na-figure
sink.
out. Yes.
Ano
The
na?
girl-
Sorry.
The
Yeah.
girl under the sink. She looked like she had burns.
I think she was just squashed.
Yeah.
Like
Is that the
squished by-
squashing closet squashing effect?
Yeah. I'm not sure actually. Good question.
Mm-mm.
Maybe the bruises instead of burns. Or I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
But
remember.
I'm
it
gonna look
looked
at it
like it
now.
was burns, and it looked like she had long hair, which is why I was
Mm-mm.
like confused. Is this the sister, the mother? And then the mother also didn't. The first ghost kind of didn't look like the mom. She looked like your run of the mill Sadako type ghost with the
Mhm.
long hair, bent neck, whatever. So I don't know. Maybe my theory doesn't hold up.
I'm reading that.
Actually.
They explain it a little. Well, do they? Hold on.
We are waiting with bated
Sorry,
breath.
hold on. Sorry. So
Yes, Miguel.
okay.
Pero ang galing na naisip niya pa, like, yung period blood.
Yes.
Yung,
Yeah.
like, what
Yep.
kind of mind? Like, even the epileptic seizure. Who thinks of that? Diba? And it just makes it even more eerie. Sumuka pa siya, lahat-lahat.
So
Sorry.
weird.
Antoinette, to answer your question, I think
Okay.
the girl under
The
the or who appears more often than the mom in the beginning. Even if they don't physically look like the characters they were, parang may yung clues were like for the girl under the sink. It was the hair clip, and they were both wearing a green dress with blue ribbons. Parang may ganong klaseng clues yata, according to IMDb. Parang ganon. But maybe
Baka they were decomposing na.
yeah,
Kasi
yeah.
patay na sila.
They were meant to look.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that was a stressful but gorgeous film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gorgeous
it was.
film. Agree.
I
Beautiful,
I
beautifully
love
shot.
the shots and how they added to the tension and how I don't know if this happened to you guys, but when the camera would pan, it's like you're also looking for whatever
Yeah.
the camera is panning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what it
exactly.
reminded me of? Like Sixth Sense. Like and I think
Sure.
I think even if it's a Korean movie, maybe a part of it was influence. I don't know. But like the way they frame, there's like enough negative space na pucha, pwedeng
Yeah.
may lumabas. Pwedeng may lumabas
Yeah.
ka ba? Yeah.
Parang
Yeah,
Hill
something-
House na may mga Easter eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I only know that by referencing because I know Hill House is a show that I've never seen. But yes,
Really?
so many people have told me to watch it because they say it's not a horror movie, a horror show per se. It's actually a show about family, and that's enough to hook me. But that's enough to hook me. But like,
Yeah, it's
what-
not a horror show at all. No.
But I feel like if you should see your faces. But this guy like he thinks it's a family show. But that's how it's packaged to me. But I know enough of myself to still not watch it. So yeah.
You know what? You can watch the second season.
Yeah.
That's not as absolutely
Not
not
as
as
bad.
scary. It's absolutely and it's
Mas maganda yung
it's
first.
more of a
Yeah.
If you don't want the scares, you can watch the second one. The
Again,
first one is absolutely superior. But
like I'll just wait till we can gather in groups and then watch it.
Sige,
so you'll wait for the
That's
vaccine.
in 10 years?
I'll wait for the vaccine.
Apparently, life will go back to normal in 7 years, guys. So we only have to wait for 7
Oh
more
my
years.
God.
Not
that's
10
my
years.
30s, you guys.
Shut up, Antoinette.
Shut up, Antoinette.
Anyway.
My God.
Anyway,
or maybe we
great,
should
great
make
film.
drive-in cinemas a thing.
Oo nga.
Yeah,
No.
I'm
They
almost
Now more
started
than
it
ever.
in
I'm almost
Manila, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they started.
I
it.
didn't get to try it. I mean, I would definitely try that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm just a
Yeah.
bit weirded out because you have to run your car for 2 hours. Like,
Yun
at a
lang.
Parang it's
standstill.
either run your car
Or you can open the windows.
Yeah.
Bawal daw.
Oh
You
shit.
can't open
About
your
what?
windows daw. Yeah.
Oh, you
Eh, open
can't?
air naman.
You know
Like the
naman how-
guideline is you turn it off for 20 minutes and then you can turn it on again for 10 minutes and then you can
Yeah.
turn it off for 20 minutes. And she's like,
That's crazy.
What?
That's even worse for the
Movie on
environment.
couch.
Yeah,
Why
never
would anyone
mind.
do that?
Wait, I have a question since we're on the topic of how, and no judgment zone, but how do we feel about the opening of cinemas. Like, would you? Won't you?
Interesting. Who wants to go first?
They have many caveats. Like, sure, you can watch in a cinema, but it will be half empty. Then bawal kumain, bawal mag-CR, bawal magsalita, masks.
Bawal mag-mask.
No mask. You have to keep the mask on the whole time.
Yeah.
Bawal tanggalin. So no eating, in other words, also. Which is, I mean, all of that, for me, in my opinion, all of those, if you keep it like half filled, people spaced out, and then masks and no eating, if you can strictly enforce that, that makes it marginally safer. But parang, why would I want to watch a movie under those constraints also? That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Gabby, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, as much as I want the industry to get back on its feet, it just doesn't feel wise to me. Like, I feel weird being in a mall, just being in a mall. So
Super
I just
true.
don't want to encourage people thinking that like our fear of COVID has for some reason decreased by so much, but the cases have not. So it doesn't make sense talaga.
Yeah.
So as much as I want the industry to get back on its feet, parang no. It's a no for me.
Understood. It's super hard to balance that. Like, even like my job entails working with a lot of F&B groups or restaurant groups. And obviously sila yung isang tinamahan, but it's even themselves naman parang it's hard finding that balance between having a business and employing people and making sure your people are fine, and at the same time making sure your people are safe. And it's kind of sad and difficult na the onus is put on the private sector. Yeah, you know,
the private sectors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Without any
How
sort
about you,
of
Chris?
help. Sorry, go ahead, guys. Yeah.
Me, I'm an absolute hell no. Like, not even with anything. I'm literally saving up for a really, really awesome home theater. That's my way of coping with it. I just don't want.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally been toying with buying
a projector,
A 55-inch.
theater seats.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like they're for sale on Lazada and stuff. And I'm like,
Talaga? How much din?
Everything
Yeah.
on Lazada, man.
let me see what the latest one
Pero-
is. But yeah, so
Can they be massage
I would rather-
chairs also?
I mean, you could get a lazy boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
But
the
I
cup
feel like if
holders,
they were-
yeah.
Sorry. But I feel like if they were to push through with the half house lang na seating, that means that they'll have to drive up the prices, diba? Para bawi.
That's true.
Yes,
Electricity.
absolutely.
That's true.
So not everyone will be able to do it then because
Yeah.
then now it's more expensive.
It's
Para
kinda-
nag-director's club ka.
Yes,
standard
ganun.
speeding lang.
Oo.
Pero alam mo, hindi ko rin masisi like what you said, yung cinema owners or the industry.
Mm-mm.
Parang
Yeah.
because we have these things and they're costing money and we have to employ people. It's so I mean, kaya sila kung no judgment parang, but I think
Mm-mm.
individuals just have to make the correct choice talaga.
Mm-mm.
Thing
Anyway,
is though,
yes.
like as a moviegoer,
Yeah.
it's like a risk assessment because like at this point you only want to go and see a movie in a cinema if you feel like it's going to be a better experience, like on the big screen. But if not naman, then you'll just stream it. So are they only going to pick like blockbuster, like Marvel
Tenet.
level,
Yeah.
like stuff? Or, and that's the only way people would say, oh, it's worth it to go watch it in the cinema. And if not, we'll just stay home. So I don't know. It's also really weird. Like maybe for the first couple weeks, people will just be like, I'm gonna go because I miss it. But then maybe after that, if it remains that way, I don't really see it being super sustainable either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a no for me. Like, I have a hard enough time protecting my own bubble.
Yeah.
It's just really no, it doesn't make sense for me. Just adding more risk.
Agree.
Right.
Sadly. And then, I mean, that's the tragedy for people like us who love film, and for people in Gabby's profession who actually work in film. But like, what can we do? How do we cope? It's
Make a
just
podcast.
difficult.
Talk about it.
Talk about it together.
This is actually a group therapy session, guys.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mental health is important, guys.
As we have learned from Mateo and his sisters.
You have seen through us, Gabby. Like this is how we make friends now. And, social.
Oh my god! Just to jump off, like so like we walk around the compound, right? Every once in a while, I walk my kid and stuff, and so this is how bad I am at social cues already. It's like this couple. They were there, and then they saw me and my kid and my wife, and then it was just me at one point, and then they were like, "Hi, we're so and so and so and so," and I was like, "Oh, that's really nice. I'm really nice to meet you." I didn't even bother introducing myself because I was just like, "You forgot. I don't know how to talk to people anymore."
Oh, that's nice.
And they're probably like, "Okay, that was weird.
Yeah, that was
a little rude."
You have to stand outside your house and just wait for them to pass again. And then introduce yourself, Chris.
Did you realize it at that moment? Or did you?
No, I realized it when they left. And I was like, oh God.
Now you have to look for them.
You can imagine them walking away.
Yeah.
You can imagine them walking away and be like, well, he's weird.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like, so that was strange.
To that neighbor.
Yeah.
Would it be weird during to look for them and then, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself.
No, well, you know what happened was, I told the story to my wife. My wife saw them eventually.
Oh, God.
And then she was like, yeah, so my husband, you have to forgive him. He's an introvert and he doesn't know how to talk to people. And he forgot to introduce himself. And he's been kicking himself ever since.
I'm sure they have totally forgotten about it. I was like, all right, it's a family.
No, they remember.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah. What a weirdo.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
It's okay, guys. We'll get sociable again. This is how we're keeping ourselves in shape, talking to new people every week.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God, I just realized Chris didn't introduce himself to me when he texted me. I had to ask him his name.
Ouch!
That's true.
Like we had a whole conversation, and he was like, "Okay, so this is what we're gonna do." Blah blah blah. And then I was like, "Yeah, what's your name?"
No, she was like, "Oh, by the way, who am I talking to?" And I was like, "Oh God,
oh God, Chris."
Well, Gabby, now you know it really was him. It's consistent.
So this not only happens in real life in physical interactions, over. Yeah. Damn it, Chris.
I just don't know how to talk to people anymore, guys.
Chris, when we finally meet, be nice naman.
I'm so afraid that I'm gonna bump into somebody we met on the pod, and I'll act as if we know each other so well because we talked about their movie, and then only to remember, holy shit, this guy probably forgot what I look like. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so afraid. You know.
Anyway,
all right. We can wrap it up.
Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap it up. I've had enough embarrassment, guys. I'm turning red. So how about a quick wrap up? Any last words on A Tale of Two Sisters? Who wants to start? We usually end with our guests.
Yes. So, hold on to your material, Gabby.
I
know. Si Gabby sana hindi masabing gusto ko sabihin. I mean, I'll start. Like, for me, this was really cool when I think about the fact that this is a movie made in 2003. Like, it feels fresh. It's so well made. And it's one of those few movies that is both psychological and supernatural nga. So I appreciate that sort of intersect. And I appreciate how they pulled it off so well. That's me.
I can go next.
Please. Sure.
Again, like as I've mentioned, gorgeous movie. Even if like Asian horror is really my least favorite. Like it's the thing that I can't deal really well at all with. But how the movie was paced kept me so interested. Even if it was really stressful, just, had to power through those ghost parts. But once you get through, you get to like a really meaty plot, and it's like really beautifully shot. So we don't have a rating system, but 2 thumbs.
2 Miguels.
2 Miguels.
Fine.
5 Miguels. Okay, so I'll go. Super love this film. One of the very first. It hit around the same time well, I saw it around the same time as I saw like The Ring or Shutter or The Eye and all. This beautiful, great crop of amazing Asian horror films, which really deepened my love for the genre. Big fan of it. It's absolutely gorgeously shot. It's really, really beautifully directed. I totally recommend checking out a few of the director's other films. He's done I Saw the Devil, which is an incredible action horror film, serial killer film. He also did something really, really weird, really wonky. It's a Korean Western film called The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. It's very strange. It's another fun film. So he's a great director. But yeah, this is absolutely probably his masterpiece, I must say. Even though I prefer I Saw the Devil, I think this is definitely his masterpiece. Absolutely recommend this. It's super cool. Great movie to bring to the podcast, Gabby. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
What are your last words on the film?
Well, I'm just really happy that this podcast gave me a reason to watch it again. And I have to admit, when I was rewatching it this week, I was kind of worried maybe it was a terrible film and maybe, high school was such a long time ago and maybe I had made a bad choice. But I'm very happy that it still is a very good film after seeing it a decade later. And there's always something new to learn about it. Like now that we've talked about and discussed it, there was apparently incest that I did not recognize. So it's a gift that keeps on giving. So I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, Gabby, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such an honor having you as our guest. We absolutely loved the movie that you chose. So thankful that you brought it. Such a great conversation. So honored to have you. So thank you
for having me, guys. It was so much fun.
Wait, Gabby, is there anything you're working on now that you'd like to also talk about, or
like promote maybe?
Well, I'm working on Half Worlds with Direct Mick Red. It's a series on HBO, awesome. And Direct Mick is shooting, I think, the 3rd season. So that's what I'm working on right now. And there's also another film coming out by TBA Studios called Dito at Doon. So if you could check that out when it finally comes, that would be great.
How about the thing you shot abroad? Awesome. Is that something you can talk about or not yet?
I don't know if we're going to have a commercial release here in the Philippines. I mean, hopefully, because it's basically a film about Yolanda. But I don't know if I can talk about it yet. But if I do have like updates, I will let you guys know.
Thanks so much. Got it.
Cool. That's great. Super cool. We're going to definitely check everything out. And I hope all listeners, all 5 of our listeners.
7 naman.
All 7 of our listeners
Sana
out there.
Next week, 10 na.
Yes, everyone check it out. Check everything out. So that's it. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And hope you get to come back on in the future. After starring in like 20, 30, 40 more horror films for us.
Lovely. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.